is now 5:30, and I will call this regular meeting of the Burnsville City Council to order. It is our tradition to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and we invite you to join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's meeting is being conducted both in person and online. Members of the public may attend in person, or the public can also watch this meeting online at burnsvillemn.gov/meetings or channel Comcast channel 16 or 859. The public can also participate through Zoom by joining us at zoom.us/join. More information is available on the meeting webpage and in the council agenda packet. The next item on our agenda is announcements and proclamations. Our announcements have to do with all upcoming meetings. We have regular council meetings scheduled for Tuesday, May 7th at 5:30 p.m. and Tuesday, May 21st at 5:30 p.m. We have a work session that's scheduled for Tuesday, May 14th at 5:30 p.m. Tonight, April 16th, we have a closed session for the city manager's performance review, and that's at 6:30 p.m. in the Nicollet Room. We also have a special work session for our quarterly roundtable, and that's Tuesday, April 23rd at 5:30 p.m. And then we have a special work session that's scheduled for Mondays, and that is for commission interviews, and that's on May 20th at 5:30 p.m. And that meeting will be in conference room D. I don't think that's going to be in conference room D, because conference room D is dedicated to the audit.
Madam Mayor, I think you were correct about that. We'll get that changed.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry about that. We typically hold that in conference room D, and I did not know the auditors would still be
The
here.
auditors, there's a big sign that I saw, and I think, okay, yeah, it's not going to be in conference room D, and that will probably be in C.
We'll update it. We'll find
Yeah.
a room.
Okay, thank you. And we have two proclamations this evening, and I will do it from that side. We'll do Earth Day and Arbor Day first, and then we'll do the tourism one because we need photos with the tourism one with all of the board members present. Members of the council, staff, and citizens of Burnsville, we have a proclamation for Earth Day and Arbor Day. Whereas Burnsville has taken great pride in the quality of our natural environment, including the beautiful shade trees and native plants that provide many essential services to the community and enrich our lives in many ways. Whereas the City of Burnsville's sustainability plan lays out the foundation for the city's continuing sustainability efforts to support environmental, human, and financial vitality for our community and future generations. And whereas we need to practice safe environmental approaches in managing our forests, lakes, wetlands, open spaces, buildings, and infrastructure. Burnsville promotes development that maintains or enhances economic opportunity and community well-being while protecting and restoring the natural environment. Whereas the purpose of Earth Day, Arbor Day celebration is the emphasis and the importance of preserving our natural environment through sustainable activities such as recycling, waste reduction, and resource conservation. Burnsville recognizes the need to protect and preserve the beauty of our community by promoting sustainability of our natural and built environment for future generations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Elizabeth Couts, Mayor of the City of Burnsville, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim April 26, 2024, to be Earth Day and Arbor Day in the City of Burnsville. In celebration, the city hosts an annual community tree sale at the end of April, and learn more about this online at www.burnsvillemn.gov/tree sale. The City Sustainability Hub online tracks our goals and programs throughout the year. Proclaimed the 16th day of April 2024. The next proclamation is for Tourism Awareness Week. Whereas the City of Burnsville recognizes the value and importance of the travel and tourism industry to our local economy, culture, and community well-being. Whereas the travel and tourism sector is a vital contributor to the growth and prosperity of Burnsville, generating jobs, stimulating economic development, and fostering cultural exchange. Whereas travel and tourism promote understanding and appreciation of our diverse heritage, attraction, and natural resources, enhancing the quality of life and sense of pride in our community. Whereas the City of Burnsville is committed to supporting and celebrating contributions of the travel and tourism industry to our city's vitality and vibrancy. The National Travel and Tourism Week, celebrated annually in May, provides an opportunity for communities across the nation to recognize and promote the importance of travel and tourism. Now, therefore, I, Elizabeth Couts, Mayor of the City of Burnsville, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2024, to be National Travel and Tourism Week. And I urge residents to join me in celebrating the beauty, history, and hospitality of our city, and to explore the many attractions and experiences that make Burnsville a wonderful place and a wonderful destination for visitors and residents alike. Proclaimed the 16th day of April, 2024. And I have a proclamation to hand to Amy Burrow and the board members of Experience Burnsville. So, and then we're going to take a picture over here. So, and then,
Chair accepted.
the chair,
Yeah.
yes. So why don't we all be in front here and, yes, the chair can hold it.
Okay, yeah. Damn it.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Perfect. Oh,
Yeah, that was about right.
you did that purposely.
I do that to you every time.
The mayor just doesn't
It's
want.
my, it's
No,
my
Councilmember
favorite
Schultz
thing.
in a photo. She
No,
put,
no, switch you two.
I can see you.
No,
No, actually, I love
No,
it.
she loves it.
It's
Actually, I
my
always tell
favorite
people to
part
go
of having a photo
and then
taken.
you see her.
Amy, can you be on that side?
Okay, yeah, so there she is. We can see.
there you go.
Yeah,
Now
we
we're
can see
alternating every other, pretty well.
I see Greg.
Greg, there you go.
Yeah, Greg.
The camera's getting a
I'll stand away
good
from
angle,
Vince.
Step stool in our budget for next year.
but that's funny.
I have one at home I could bring.
Tourism, let's get the tourism going.
Don't ruin my fun.
You'd make her taller than all of us then. We got a basketball team in here.
The next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. This is the opportunity for anyone in the audience or online to address the council on an item that is not on the printed agenda and not an application form that will be coming before us at a future date. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes an item or wishes to speak to the council? Mrs. Collins, anyone online?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, we will move on. And the next is additions to the final agenda, and this is for emergency items only. City Manager Lindberg.
Nothing from staff, Mayor.
Members of the council. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a group of items that's considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. However, an item on the consent agenda can be removed for a separate discussion and vote. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes an item on the consent agenda to be removed for a separate discussion and vote? Mrs. Collins, anyone online?
No request, Madam Mayor.
City Manager Lindberg, does staff want to pull anything?
Not from staff, Mayor.
Members of the council, may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda, please?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay, and the motion carries. We are now at the regular agenda, and we're at 5A, and this is a public hearing. This is a resolution giving host approval of tax exempt bonds for Seven Hills Preparatory Academy project. Our Deputy City Manager and CFO, Jenny Rhodey, is presenting. Ms. Rhodey, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. Tonight, we have an item with a public hearing before you for Seven Hills Academy host approval for tax exempt bonds. Seven Hills Academy has requested that the city of Deep Haven issue tax exempt bonds to assist in financing the acquisition, construction, and improvements of their new charter school located at 14101 South Cross Drive West in Burnsville. They are not requesting bond issuance from Burnsville, but for conduit revenue bonds issued by an issuer that's not where the project is located. Host approval is needed from the city with jurisdiction. The bonds do not impact our overall long-term debt for the city of Burnsville or our debt capacity or credit rating. So before you tonight, we have a public hearing and then a resolution granting host approval for those bonds. Our bond counsel has reviewed the information prior to this, and I should note there are representatives from Seven Hills Academy here tonight as well.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for Deputy City Manager, CFO, Rhodey? Okay, thank you. I will now open a public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this item? Anyone who wishes to speak to this item? Anyone online, Mrs. Collins?
No one's asked to speak to this
Okay.
item, Mayor.
I will now close the public hearing. Members of the council,
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
there's a motion and a second. I am going to oppose this. It has nothing to do with you folks. It has to do with the consistency of my vote all along. It has to do with the shrinking of the tax base that funds education. So you're moving into an I-3 zoning area. It's about 33% of that tax base goes to fund education. So the unintended consequence of this action shrinks the tax base. So I will continue to vote against it, but it's not anything to do with what you're doing. It is the consistency of my vote. Okay, very good. So there's a motion and a second. Any comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Nay. And clerk has the division of the House.
I do, Mayor.
Thank you. The next item is also a public hearing, and this is to approve off-sale 3.2% malt liquor license for CAPL Retail LLC doing business as Speedway at 1884 134th Street East, and this is for a new owner at this location. Our city clerk, Michelle Collins, is presenting. Ms. Collins, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. As you said, these are the new owners of the Speedway, the CAPL Retail LLC. And this location did not have the 3.2 license before, but with the new owners, they have opted for that. The Burnsville Police Department has conducted background investigations on the principals involved and found nothing to deny the application. License issuance will be contingent upon the submittal of all required documents and payments. The city code requires a public hearing for all new liquor license applications. I stand for any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this item? Anyone who wishes to speak to this item? Is there anyone online who wishes to speak to this item?
Not at this time, Madam Mayor.
I will close the public hearing. Members of the council, your pleasure.
Move to approve?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay, and the motion carries. Thank you. The next item is 5C, and this is to approve the 2024 Planning Commission Work Plan. And I believe, Ms. Garros, are you going to tee it up first before I have Chair of the Planning Commission, Mr. Awad?
I am just trying to get the presentation up.
Oh, okay.
And then Mr. Awad is here, our Planning Commission Chair, to speak to council.
Okay.
And you all know how good I am at technology. Not any different when it comes to city council as I am to planning commission. Thank you, Mayor, council members.
Okay.
Awad.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Awad, Chair Awad from the Planning Commission, and thank you so much for all that you folks do for us.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. And thank you, Ms. Garros, for teeing this up for me. So I'm here to present our 2024 Planning Commission Work Plan. It's basically a continuation of the items we had on 2023. I'll run through them real quickly here. We have our 2040 Comprehensive Plan Update and Implementation. This has been ongoing for quite a while. We also have County Road 42 Redevelopment Vision, which includes implementation in the Center Village Design Framework, also has been ongoing. We have zoning ordinance updates to implement study findings related to the heart of the city and multifamily residential parking. This is estimated to be completed in the third quarter of this year. And then a couple city code updates for Title 10 zoning and Title 11 subdivision. And those are expected to go into the beginning of next year.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions. A comment is that because the comprehensive plan update and implementation is a long piece of work. And then also going into Title 10 and 11 is also another heavy lift. So you guys have a lot to do, and I can't thank you enough for your service to the community and for the advice that you give us. And as you notice, most of the items that come from you, from the Planning Commission, because you do such a great job, it goes directly to consent agenda, and unless we have something about it, we pull it, but very rarely have we pulled any of your items off consent.
We benefit from having great staff. Just really, that's where it all starts, so thank you.
Well, but thank you so much for everything that you do. Any comments, questions?
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, then I would ask the adoption of the work plan, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, and motion carries. Please extend our gratitude to the members of the Planning Commission.
I will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Awad. The next item is 5D, and this is to review and accept the agreed-upon procedures audit report from the independent auditor. And our Deputy City Manager, CFO, Jenny Brody, is going to present along with Jackie Hugel from MMKR and Ellers. Okay. Deputy City Manager and CFO Jenny Brody.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Tonight, we're here to discuss the results of the agreed-upon procedures audit that was performed by MMKR. I'll just give a little background, and then I'll let Jackie give her presentation. After that, I'll follow up with just a few slides on kind of our assessment and what steps we've taken. But in August of 2023, we identified some compliance issues in the area of purchasing authority and signature authority in the Public Works and Engineering departments. At that time, the executive team immediately developed and implemented a corrective action plan. Part of that plan was to engage the auditors in an agreed-upon procedures audit. We began conversations almost immediately with MMKR upon learning of the issues and discussed and engaged them in an agreed-upon procedures audit. So they did their work last fall and recently issued their final report. And Jackie Hugel, a principal from MMKR, is here tonight to present those results.
Thank you. And welcome, Ms. Hugel.
Thank you. Well, good evening, and thank you for having me tonight. As Jenny said, my name is Jackie Hugel, and I am a principal with MMKR CPA firm. I am here to present the agreed-upon procedure results that we recently completed for the city of Burnsville. As many of you are aware, the city did reach out to our firm back in August, as Jenny noted, to engage us in completing what's considered an agreed-upon procedure project, specifically over the city's compliance with purchasing and signature authority policies. This type of engagement is called an agreed-upon procedures, so it is different than an audit. You're used to me standing up here annually talking through an audit process. So I just want to give a little background on kind of what our role is when it comes to an agreed-upon procedure process, because it is different than the regular audit process. With an agreed-upon procedure engagement, there is no opinion that's being issued. The city determines the procedures that they wanted completed, and then we came and completed those specific procedures, even down to the detail as far as how many transactions you wanted pulled, the time frame you wanted them pulled from. And as I walk through my presentation tonight, we'll walk through each procedure that was completed and the results of those procedures. One thing I do want to note on here is just the time frame that we pulled transactions from. Since it's an agreed upon procedures engagement, the city determined that time frame. So we pulled transactions from January 1, 2018 all the way through August 31st, 23. So when we sampled, that was our time range or that time period that we were sampling from. When completing the agreed upon procedures engagement, our first step was just to obtain copies and document our understanding of what is the city's policies governing signature authority and purchasing, making sure we understood all those policies and procedures in order for us to start into our testing. And then walking through each of the procedures that we did complete. The first procedure that was completed is that we reviewed a sample of 30 contract or professional service agreement payments in the Public Works Department. For each of those 30 payments that we reviewed, we verified, was the approval following the requirements that were included in the city's purchasing and signature authority document? Was there appropriate documentation attached to those purchase orders? And then lastly, if it was a purchase that required a contract to be signed, was the contract being signed by the appropriate individuals based on the city's policy? The results for that first procedure performed, 11 of the 30 payments that we tested did not follow the approval requirements. One item I'll just note on there is just a reminder too that when you are approving contracts, make sure they're being approved based on a total amount, not splitting them into individual payments to stay under any thresholds. Make sure you're always looking at the total payment for approval authority. 16 of those 30 payments didn't have the approval documentation attached in the document management system of the city. And then of those 30, 21 of them required a contract to be signed. So we looked at those 21 contracts, and 12 of those 21 were not signed in accordance with the city's policy. The second procedure then we performed, similar, just 20 contract or professional service payments outside of the Public Works Department. Once again, just verifying that the approvals were in accordance with the city's policy. Was there documentation attached to those purchase orders? And once again, if it required a contract to be signed, was it being signed by the appropriate individuals? Of those 20 that we reviewed, 7 of the 20 payments did not follow the approval requirements. 8 of the 20 did not have the approval documentation attached in the document management system. And then of those 20 payments, 7 of them had a contract attached to them. So 3 of those 7 contracts weren't signed in accordance with the policy. The next area we looked into, we sampled 20 contract work orders and change orders. For each of those work orders and change orders, making sure that the approvals followed the city policy, and once again, making sure that there was documentation attached for those approvals. So 14 of the 20 projects tested didn't follow the requirements, and 9 of the 20 didn't have documentation attached to them. Once again, same comment here, when you're talking work orders and change orders, you should look at cumulative, not individual payments when you're determining the level of authority for approval. The next step was we reviewed 10 land, easement, and right-of-way acquisitions during that time period. 9 of the 10 acquisitions tested didn't follow the approval requirements, and 10 of the 10 acquisitions tested didn't have the documentation attached showing any approval in the document management system. And then the last procedure that we were engaged to perform was just to review a sample of 10 project budget amendments. With that, we were verifying that there was approval of the budget amendment by the city council in order to increase that total capital expenditures in the fund. And for all 10 of those budget amendments that we tested, we did not have any exceptions to note in this area. They all had the proper approvals. So with that, I can turn it back to Jenny to go through her follow-up, and then we can be available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hugel.
Thanks, Mayor and council members. These audit results are concerning to us. I just first want to say that we take them very seriously. I think it emphasizes the need for ongoing operational improvement. So what I'll just want to cover briefly is our assessment of the issue. So part of the assessment was bringing in the auditors. They did, obviously, you can see, we know we have non-compliance with policies and statutes in the results. No further concerns outside of that were noted, but, so that's, when we looked at assessing and next steps and our corrective action plan, we really focused on that, is how can we ensure that we maintain compliance with our internal city policies, city council policies, and statutes. One of the things we wanted to do is fully understand the problem, so part of that was an agreed upon procedures audit. The other part, we have also engaged the city attorney's office to complete a review of our compliance with internal policies and state statutes. So that work is ongoing, and we expect the results of that over the next couple of months. We're learning. We're taking in all this information, we're learning from this, so that our policies, processes, and internal controls can be improved to ensure this doesn't happen again. So during the audit, As the audit was ongoing, we also were making some improvements along the way. We had the corrective action plan in place. We immediately provided interim guidance to Public Works on purchasing and signature authority. So while the audit was ongoing, we made sure we were working on this as we went along. We had leadership team conversations and communication with our departments. So we had, leaders in the departments are talking about these things with staff and talking about what are the proper ways, what are the improvements, just having that education internally has been really important. We held training for all authorized purchasers. That was required training, so anybody that makes purchases in the city was required to attend one of 3 trainings that we held in September and October. Really focusing on what are the purchasing and signing authority limits, purchase order training, and all kind of relevant requirements around purchasing. We also completed process improvement for organization-wide project management in engineering, parks, and public works, and we had staff from broad departments as part of that process improvement. Again, as I mentioned, we retained Camel Knutson to complete a compliance review. More recently, the city manager distributed updated interim guidance memo to all staff. So as you said, immediately we distributed the interim guidance to Public Works, but we've expanded that to the entire city. So there is updated guidance while we're still going through this process, because we've still got some work to do. The city attorney still has his compliance review to complete, and so we wanted guidance. We wanted definitive guidance to come out on that. That included kind of all relevant information around purchasing, so that everybody kind of had that in one email and one place to look. Additionally, we've been working on internal controls, like how can we tighten up our internal controls to ensure, like we make sure that there isn't a possibility of this happening again. We restricted delegated signing authority to a fewer number of directors or managers. It's right now at the deputy city manager, with the 2 deputy city managers, the fire chief, and police chief. So there are 4 people that are delegated signing and purchase order approvers right now. We've implemented additional finance system capabilities to support these internal controls. We're able to tighten up those restrictions on who can approve those purchases in the finance system. So that's used as a tool to help us manage that delegated signing authority. Our system is capable of including documentation. So we're requiring all documentation that really documents what is the authority for this purchase, especially on those large items. So council background information is included as documentation, really authorizing that purchase, especially for larger, anything over 20,000, really. We've increased manager resources and really application of accountability, right? We're holding ourselves accountable. This is very important to us. We know this is an important that we get this right going forward. So that's been part of our process. Next steps, over the next several months, we still have a number of things to do, just to complete everything we need to around this. We're going to continue to review our internal controls and assess how that's working around purchasing and signature authority. Make sure we're all on the same page and having those discussions, right? We've had a lot of internal discussion, and I expect that to continue. I think it's good. I think we're talking about things, and that's been helpful. We're going to retrain authorized purchasers on purchasing and signing authority. So we'll do another training here over probably in the next several months. And what we'll really focus on is obviously kind of our normal purchasing requirements, but we really want to address the items that we've noted in the agreed upon procedures audit, and then issues that come up in Campbell Knutson's review of our processes. We're gonna update some policies once we have the city attorney assessment. We'll work on updating our, city designated signing authority policy, and also make some other changes to related city purchasing, policies. So we have a number of items, a number of policies that do address purchasing in some way, so we'll make sure that those are fully updated as well, and any changes are integrated there. And then complete a right-of-way process improvement. So that's also upcoming. So we still have a few things to do. We've made a lot of progress, and we're still working on that, and learning. Definitely want to make sure that we're transparent in the process. That's part of why we engaged the auditors in this agreed upon procedures audit. And, staff just understands that this is very important work, and we're committed to getting it right. So that's what I have for you tonight. Again, Jackie and I are here for any questions you might have.
Okay, members of the council, any questions? Any thoughts? Well, Deputy City Manager, CFO Rhodey, and City Manager Lindberg, I want to thank you for addressing this issue once you realized what was going on. Simply because one of the things that all of us have been charged to do by the members of our community, the residents and the businesses, that we are good stewards of their resources, their financial resources. That's a huge thing for each and every one of us to understand. It's their money. And they have charged us to be good stewards of it. And so I want to thank you, because you inherited this. It wasn't something that happened during your watch. So to the two of you and to all of our leadership staff, thank you. Because the other thing is that our residents and businesses want to trust us with our ethics. And also making sure that we have an independent auditor come in and do this work for us, so that we can then communicate to the residents of our city and our businesses that we acknowledged that we had some shortcomings and that we are making corrective actions. And you went through all of that. So I want to thank you and tell you all how much and I'm sure every member of the council, appreciate what you have done so far with the corrective action. And I am truly grateful, because I know that our residents are also grateful that we are being good stewards of their financial resources, and how we do our work, so that we do our work with ethics and diligence. So thank you so much. I think what you have done and being transparent with us and also with our community, and to have this very public. So I thank you all for that. I am truly grateful. So could you press? Okay. Councilmember Keeley, I know I see that finger moving closely, but I don't see it over here. So
I just want to reiterate the fact that, when we have these types of discussions and we make a comment that we're entrusted with the taxpayer dollars, we are. The entire city is, the city council and the city staff and leadership. And through this audit, there was no monies that were misspent. It was the process by which they went through. The taxpayers received goods or services or productivity, street improvements, et cetera, as a result of this. It was just how we got there was discovered. I think it's well point. It was something that happened previous to our city managers taking his position. It was discovered under his leadership, which is what good leadership does, finds issues and corrects them. And there's been a few of those that he inherited, and he's done a great job, and the staff, like yourself, have done a great job of tightening things up and improving things where things were not the way they should be. So, with that being said.
Yeah. So if there are no other comments, I need, City Manager Lindberg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. First and foremost, the results of this audit are embarrassing. To repeat what Councilmember Keeley said, there was no indication in terms of what we found to this point in time of fraud or other negligence in that regard. But I and our team take our responsibility to the community and for the community's resources very seriously. And we're not going to shy away from admitting our mistakes, recognizing them, and then correcting them. So I appreciate the recognition of that. I certainly appreciate Jenny and our finance team for working very closely with our independent auditors. Within 24 hours of the identification of the potential of an issue, we had staff on the phone with our auditors, which is exactly how government should work. So I'm incredibly grateful for the energy and the work and the focus our team has put in to resolving and addressing these issues. And as Jenny talked about tonight, we have plenty of work ahead of us to continue our corrective action plan. It's a 3-step plan to not only assess, but also improve and then monitor and manage our processes and behavior across the organization moving forward. And I'll close with this. Not only aren't we're going to hide from mistakes, to Jenny's point, we're going to learn from them. And that's been the focus on our team at this point in time. And I certainly want the community, you all, to understand how seriously we take that responsibility. That level of accountability is what the public expects of us. And frankly, what we expect of ourselves to deliver to this community. And we're not going to hide from that responsibility, and we certainly are going to make sure that we do everything possible to get this right today for the future benefit of the community, of our organization. And that will include changing behavior, changing the makeup of our team to ensure that we get it right and we lead and make decisions in the best possible way to the benefit of the community. So thank you for taking the time to hear this report. It's not easy tonight. It's not easy for me. I know it's not easy for any one of you. And I do want the community to know that certainly we're here to answer questions on what this means or what it doesn't mean, but also we will be keeping you and the community updated on our continued work to complete our corrective action plan. The next time you'll see something from us and the community will see something in a meeting like this will be a compliance report from the city attorney's office that Jenny had mentioned earlier, and we expect that to be complete in the sometime in May.
Yeah, and to reiterate, there was no fraud. It was
Correct.
process. So the community needs to understand that there were no funds that were taken. It was the process of how we get there and how we were not informed according to state statute, because staff only has authority over 20,000. Anything over and above that, it has to come to us to approve.
Correct.
And so this is part of that process that we're talking about. So for our residents to understand that there was no fraud here, it was about the process of how we got things done.
Yeah, we had, the audit procedures were designed to test what we,
Yeah.
that authority piece, and nothing else was found in terms of other issues. No other issues were noted, so.
Good. Thank you so much. And with that, I need a motion to accept the auditor's report.
Move to accept.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And the motion carries. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you for all of your good work. Truly grateful for all of that. Okay. Members of the council, there are no other items to come before us this evening, and a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And the motion carries. Good night, and thank you for being with us.